This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 168. That's right. I got it right this time. Doc's in the background laughing right now, but I got it right. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's episode, it's jam-packed, absolutely slammed. We've got a former WWE superstar jumping back into the squared circle. We're going to tell you who it is. Also, big moves made by WWE this week, and what's going on with their streaming service. Of course, we've got our Royal Rumble predictions. Last week, the Doc threw out the record, so we're both starting at 0-0. This is my chance to kind of make some headway here and put him in my dust. We'll see what happens. Of course, we're going to be breaking it all down with the biggest topics and trends in wrestling. And I've already mentioned him a couple of times, but here he is. He's the one. He's the only. He tells me every time we do this podcast, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So I guess that makes him the man. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
It's all good, baby. You and I should head on over to Peacock too if they're throwing that kind of money at people, $1 billion. We'll talk about it later, but holy cow. I guess it's smart, but I was getting attached to the network, but seeing from some things that you're hearing, it might not have been the best idea. So that's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I got the inside scoop as to why this makes all the sense in the world for WWE and what Vince McMahon is thinking. So I'll give it all to you. You just got to stick around for the news and notes section. Let's kind of kick this thing off here. Let's start with SmackDown. SmackDown kicks off tonight, Friday night, and this is the go home show. This is for one of the big ones. This is one of those pay-per-views that you don't dare miss. You're tuning in, you're watching, and usually what you get with a go home show is a really, really good cherry on the top to make you want to tune in. At least that's what they're going for here. And I think SmackDown, we've talked about it a little bit the last couple of weeks. SmackDown has been some of the best programming WWE has pumped out. And watching SmackDown last week, you have your Intercontinental Championship, and I think it's one of the best stories right now on SmackDown. You've got a spastic Sami Zayn who is all over the place and claiming that is his belt. You got Big E, who's doing his singles push right now, and we both believe Big E can be a monster star. You add a splash of Apollo Crews, who has his own thing going on with Roman Reigns. Is the Intercontinental Championship chase, or just the Intercontinental Championship scene, the best belt in WWE right now, or at least on SmackDown, and the best storyline that SmackDown has going for it?
Absolutely. The Intercontinental title is such a historic belt that it deserves to have a lot of attention. I think that SmackDown's done a good job of highlighting it. I love seeing the spastic Sami Zayn, Big E, Apollo Crews, and I think that's what we've talked about with Apollo Crews for quite a while. It's like, okay, this is a talented individual that really didn't deserve to be in the background, and Big E, give him credit. I think everybody realized that this was a talent that probably should have been pushed sooner. So it's absolutely great that he's got a title, and I think the Intercontinental title should be a title that should be featured, and it creates memories, from the past with Scott Hall, with all the up-and-comers, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. So the belt, probably took a turn when Shinsuke Nakamura had it, but AJ Styles, I thought, brought it a lot of class. But right now, it's definitely the highlight of SmackDown for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting storyline, especially with Sami Zayn and everything going on with him being stripped of the belt, then coming back, winning the championship, and now you insert Big E into the picture, and now Big E is the championship holder. And you're right, the Intercontinental Championship has such a historic and long storied history with the guys who that held that belt. I think it's absolutely a fantastic storyline right now. I want to get your impressions on what's been going on with the big dog. I mean, it seems like SmackDown every week is kind of centered around what's going on with Roman Reigns, what's going on with Paul Heyman, how they can work different individuals in and out of this storyline. You've got Kevin Owens, who is now, I guess, the opposition or the opposing force for Roman Reigns, as well as Adam Pearce. What's your thoughts on this picture as we go towards WrestleMania?
Real interesting, right? Because as the big dog holds court, you kind of realize that he probably needs one more big star opposite him because he's kind of gone through everybody. So in my notes here, I wrote, what's next? And everything that's kind of being put in front of him, it's fine, but you kind of need that real serious challenger for him, somebody that you think can beat him. And it's kind of like, in the world of wrestling, you and I are so used to it, that he's gotten over quite a bit that you kind of need him to have a challenge, don't you think?
Yeah.
To kind of have somebody that whoops his ass, puts him through a table. Kevin Owens, the feud with him was good, but it wasn't really believable that he was going to take the title. So maybe a returning superstar that's of a beast nature could come back on SmackDown and pose a challenge, or somebody that is believable rises up to pose the next challenge. The next person's got to be more believable, is I think what you and I would agree upon.
Yeah, and I thought the same exact thing, and I'm glad you went there because that's where I wanted to go with it. Kevin Owens is great. Kevin Owens is fantastic. But WWE, I think, has done such a bad job devaluing him that when you put him opposite of Roman Reigns, he doesn't have the same cachet. He doesn't bring the same vibe or the same energy that Roman Reigns has. And you just don't buy that he has any chance of winning this belt at this pay-per-view. And whether it's all the things that kind of led up to this, or whether it's just the way his character has been flip-flopped around, he just doesn't seem like he's the guy to be able to even make you sweat Roman Reigns losing a title. And I would hate if they brought Brock Lesnar back. Like, if Brock Lesnar comes back to challenge Roman Reigns, I would absolutely hate that. Just finally create somebody. Put somebody on a bit of a tear and let them run a little bit wild for a little bit and be the person who rises up to challenge Roman Reigns, WrestleMania is coming up, right? We get through the Royal Rumble and then everybody focuses towards WrestleMania and everybody's going to stand in the middle of the ring and they're going to point at the giant sign that's floating up in the sky. It's the thing that everybody in WWE does, right? It's what it is. We need somebody, because they're not going to get anybody up to speed, I don't think, in that amount of time to challenge Roman Reigns. At least not by WrestleMania. And I don't know who's coming out of the Rumble as the winner here. But I don't know if there's a person in that Rumble that makes you stop and pause and say, you know what? They've got a legit shot to challenge Roman Reigns. And look, it can all change. We'll talk about it next week. It could all change. But right now, I don't think there's a guy on SmackDown, and there's not really a guy in WWE who could really make you stop and say, hey, wait, they have a legitimate shot to beat Roman Reigns for his belt here. So we just need to see some more development. We need to see one of these guys just kind of get let loose, let them run wild for a little bit, and let them build up a head of steam and some momentum. What did you think of Monday Night Raw? Monday Night Raw, we had their go-home show. Like we said, as we build towards the Royal Rumble, what's taking place on Sunday. What did you think about Monday Night Raw as a whole?
I thought it was interesting for a go-home show. I thought that the continuing storyline with Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss was real interesting. I felt like the interesting way that Retribution has been utilized in regards to kind of, really not taking the step forward that probably everybody would have liked. It was kind of decent. I would say not. It was a show that was good. It could keep your attention, but overall, I just don't think that it was at a level of a go-home show that I know you and I look for in terms of like, hey, must you watch this pay-per-view? I'll say this, the return of Drew McIntyre was much needed. I think that it's much needed, and it was a situation that I think that without him, you could tell that the show lacked. But, having Goldberg there doing his thing, I thought was interesting. I was down for it. I kept my interest for most of the show. What'd you think?
I thought it was kind of a hit or miss show. Like, there were some parts that were really, really good. There are other parts where you're just kind of like, can we just move on to the next thing? And then there are other times where it was just background noise for me. So it was not up to the level of a go-home show that I would expect. Now, I do want to highlight some of the good things that I took out of it. I love what's going on with Mustafa Ali. Since Mustafa Ali was revealed to be the leader of Retribution, it's been a pretty piss-poor reception, and they've done a really, really bad job with it. Even worse is all of the storylines that they've tried to come up to kind of push this group and to push Mustafa Ali with have absolutely been horrible. But I think finally what you're getting is you're getting this circle back around to Kofi Kingston. We talked about this, I think it was in the summertime. Shoot, it might have even been last year, right around this time, right when COVID was kicking up. If Mustafa Ali ever came back, he had to come back as a heel, and he had to challenge Kofi Kingston. Remember, the only reason Kofi Mania ran wild for as long as it did was because he was subbed in to cover for Mustafa Ali, who was injured by Randy Orton. Mustafa Ali could have been that WWE champion that had the belt, had the praise, got to run wild, because Vince was super high on him at the time. Then he gets hurt by Randy Orton, and then next thing you know, Kofi Mania runs wild for what felt like a long time until it was completely dismantled in under 8 seconds by Brock Lesnar, which was really, really unfortunate. But Mustafa Ali coming back and then calling out Kofi Kingston for that exact reason, saying that the only reason that you got to do what you got to do, and the only reason Kofi Mania ever existed, was because I got hurt. I think it's fantastic. Him inserting himself into the Royal Rumble off of the back of Kofi Kingston currently being injured, I think is a fantastic twist and a fantastic storyline. If he is somehow able to come out of the Royal Rumble as the actual winner of that match, of that event, and it's all built around him going in and subbing in for Kofi Kingston, I think it's very apropos, and I think it's a great storyline. I don't know if he's going to win the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't bet my money on that, but I think it would be a very, very interesting story. How do you like this build for Mustafa Ali? Like I said, it hasn't been very good at all. But I think in the last couple of weeks, what you're seeing with him challenging Kofi Kingston, going after specifically Kofi Kingston, I think it's a fantastic twist, and I think it is great to pull on what actually took place not too long ago.
Yeah, it kind of circles back to the past, and it kind of ties up a bow that you're looking for. So I think that is great. I think that you got to at least give Mustafa Ali some shine and allow him. And I think that that's so good with the New Day too, is that Xavier Woods taking the beating for defeating Slapjack was fine. I thought it was a good match. It was intriguing. It was really good. It was an opportunity to get into something. It wasn't as overly long or boring as some of the other matches were. I mean, the Morrison and Sheamus kind of went on and on and on and on, and I just wasn't as much into it as the other things. I was kind of the opinion that with Morrison and Miz, it's good to use them, but to have Miz and Morrison defeat Sheamus, I was just like, you got this dude that is so awesome. That's a big dude. That's really a former world champion. And they have him kind of in this week on Raw take the beating and put over Morrison and Miz. I get it, but at what point does Sheamus get his run? I mean, don't you think it's time for him? So that segment I highlighted. I really liked Alexa's Playground. I really liked that. And the other thing from Raw I thought was interesting was Matt Riddle's kind of emerging. You know, his personality is starting, I don't know if you're seeing it too, but he's kind of become more of a presence. And I think that the foibles of R-Truth and Riddle interrupting the VIP lounge, I thought was really entertaining. I thought it was a highlight.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And him going up against Bobby Lashley, I think is going to be a fantastic match. Here's the thing. With that match, you've got two guys who were stars in MMA. They weren't UFC stars. They weren't UFC caliber, or they're not that. But these are both guys who know their way around an octagon. And I think you can build off of that, and you can tell an interesting story and weave that in. I don't know if they're going to take place. They're on our prediction sheet. And I think we're doing this just to kind of hedge our bets just in case they throw it in at the last second. But I don't know if now is the time to actually start that match. Let's let this breathe a little bit. Let's kind of intertwine this story and let's tell a good story here, because I think they could do that. And I think you can calling off of the past and working the past in to really help develop and add some layers to your story, I think would be fantastic. So, like I said, we've got it in our predictions. We'll touch on it. We'll give those predictions when we get there. And I think we're doing it more to hedge our bets than really anything else. I don't necessarily want to see it at the Royal Rumble, but we might get it. You brought up Randy Orton and you brought up Alexa Bliss at different points in our conversation here. And I wanted to touch on this because I love the character development of Alexa Bliss. I think if you are just a casual fan, somebody who just pops in here or there and just kind of watches, and you see what she does in the ring, where she comes in and she's like a small schoolgirl, and then she transforms into this goth creature, and just the whole demeanor and the whole presence just shifts. Like everything it's almost like split screen, right? I think it's really, really fantastic, her development. I think it's been awesome. I think she's really helped move this entire storyline along with Bray Wyatt, with herself, with Randy Orton. It has now all of a sudden become this triangle. And the thing is, Bray Wyatt's not even here. And I would make the argument that Bray Wyatt's not even relevant in this story right now. And I think he's more on the peripheral of all of it. But I think the fact that she's been able to kind of drag him into it and keep him there, with him not even being on screen, not even being present, is absolutely fantastic. And I think the fact that Randy Orton actually hits her with the RKO this week, I think it's a little bit telling. And I kind of wanted to get your sense on what you thought of him hitting her with the RKO, because I think now with Randy Orton going through the whole fireball to the face, he's got his burn makeup on. I think what you're seeing here is Randy Orton is now looking at her, and he's telling the rest of us in the WWE universe that she is a legitimate threat. You can't take her lightly. She is not just a threat to the females in WWE. She is also a threat to me, and I'm the most dangerous player in the game right now. And I think it's a telling message, and I think it's a strong message, and I love that WWE did this because it helps accentuate what she's doing. It helps bring a little bit more to the table with what she's basically feeding us, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. What a resurgence for her. I think that her character, I think she's probably really enjoying this time in WWE. I think that you're seeing really someone embracing a character and really getting pushed in the right way. I mean, every week that she's out there, it's not stale. So that's something that I think WWE at least has hit on. And we got to give him credit for hitting on something that has added to the Fiend's whole persona. And I think that it kind of suits her a little bit, this dark, edgy, unique character that gets in the mix. And also, too, with Randy Orton, give him credit for really having a really good, solid run for the last 7 to 8 months. Everything he's done has been interesting, entertaining, and really, to take a fireball, to kind of have that situation go down was pretty crazy in regards to, getting fired to the face and cutting really dark, edgy promos. Really has come into his own and really had a really good run lately. So good for Alexa Bliss. It's going to be fun to see. She's going to have a good run in the next few months.
Yeah, with Randy Orton, I do want to highlight just his work that he's done. You said 7-8 months, and he's been really fantastic. He's found himself in this really weird, dark place. And some of his promos could have been comical if anybody else delivered them. But he's done it with such an even keel, almost demonic sense that it really helps convey the message. And it doesn't get wonky. It doesn't get funny. It doesn't make you say, that guy, that's not even believable. Because there are times where a promo will get delivered and you're just like, okay, cool. Can we just move on? And Randy Orton has been able to hold your attention with the different things that he's done. So kudos to him, and kudos to him for being able to do what he's been able to do and take this storyline and this character to this place. I think it's great. Now on NXT, we had a lot of matches for the Dusty Cup for the men and the women. The one thing I think that was probably the overriding storyline to come out of this is Finn Balor and the Undisputed Era. And we've talked about it the last couple weeks. There was a point in this match where Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly took on Orny Loken and Danny Burch. And at the very, very end, Pete Dunne gets involved. And when it's all said and done, you've got Roderick Strong, you've got Adam Cole, you've got Finn Balor, and you've got Kyle O'Reilly. And they're all standing in a line in the middle of the ring. And when I say the crowd was nuts, the crowd was absolutely insane. And I don't know if WWE piped that in or if this was the actual little LED TVs with the people actually getting hyped for it, but it sounded amazing, and I think it looked even better. Does Finn Balor have to join Undisputed Era? Does he have to stand with them? Now, he only stood in line with them for a very, very brief, I would say maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds. It felt like it was 3 minutes long. It wasn't very long, but it felt like it until he rolls out of the ring and stands behind them. I don't know where we're going with this, but I feel like Finn Balor has to be a part of Undisputed Era.
Yeah, you and I talked about it last couple of weeks. We played out different scenarios in regards to what we want from this, but absolutely the WWE piped it in. I think that they recognized that this was something that was really cool. It was a moment, and NXT's done a good job with it. So, yeah, I think you and I have to succumb to the fact that Finn Balor's got to join. He has to join the Undisputed Era, and potentially maybe you spawn one of the two to either kick him out to become, to have the turn, or you have Finn Balor turn on him to take the character and the feud to the next level. But for the time being, I think it's fair to put Finn Balor in a group and let them do some things and push forward here to start 2021.
Now, I mentioned Pete Dunne a little bit earlier, and I've got two questions for you. And I've racked my brain, and this is why I'm coming to you for some counsel. And hopefully you can give me a little bit of insight. But two questions regarding Pete Dunne. Number one, why is he so orange? And number two, why are his pants so damn tight? Do you have an answer for either of these?
Especially with his thighs, right? They stick out. It's a weird look, right? It's not natural.
Sure.
It makes it's like a real unique look that they're trying to pull off there that I think you've noticed and picked up on is suboptimal because it's like, there's this dude wearing really tight pants that makes his thighs look really big, and it's not something that we're kind of used to. And it's not like particularly European. It's not particularly something that's unique. It's just really weird that he's going with this. And I don't know, maybe he's just something that he's become fond of. That's, these wrestlers are weird and superstitious, but, I don't understand when people watch and go back. He's got to be taking an unbelievable amount of ribbing from the boys because he looks corny. This big, the tights, the outfits, we used to joke about different wrestlers and their outfits, but yeah, Pete Dunne to take the next step has got to step into 2021 and invest in some wardrobe that might be just a little bit better than what he's got going on right now.
Yeah, it's weird to me, man, and it's always a point of contention for me because I'm like, man, what is this guy doing? Like, he's a badass, but boy, if he looks like he squats down, he might rip those pants, and it looks like he got a hold of a set of Crayolas and discolored himself. Was there anything else from NXT that really hit you in the Moneymaker that you wanted to talk about before we move on to your recap of Impact?
No, there's no recap there. That's funny. That was interesting.
It was a Freudian slip there.
Yeah,
my bad.
Exactly. No. And NXT was good. It was entertaining. I just can't wait to see how Finn Balor progresses and what they do with it. And obviously, I love the fact that NXT has been able to recycle and push forward even though a ton of stars have left. Killian Cross is just going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what he does this year. And it's a good show. It's just really entertaining. You got to check it out on Wednesdays, and they've been in the mix. Now, are they as good as AEW? No, but it's still something to watch week in and week out in your mix of professional wrestling. Now, in Impact, they started off strong. Finally, Impact has decided that, hey, we got to grab the users, we got to grab the audience, we got to get into the mix right away and be able to draw attention. And boy, did they! And they kicked off the show with the heavyweight title scene, and you're like, whoa! Rich Swann kicked it off, and then you kind of started to see a bunch of different competitors that potentially want the title in Ken Shamrock, Moose, Sami Callihan, and you saw a nice brawl, and it led up to the main event, which was an 8-person tag team match, which was awesome. And I thought that Impact this week was good. You had the further invasion of AEW in the mix there. I like the Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers match with Myers going over. The one negative I would say is you're starting to see the women not really shine as much. I'm surprised that at this point in time, Tenille Dashwood is kind of getting the WWE treatment over at Impact. She's not utilized well. She lost a match to Rosemary, and it didn't really make a whole heck of a lot of sense because Dashwood is such a really impactful person, and I think that she could be elevated. And so to see her be used that way and to not get wins lately, kind of disappointing. But everything culminated in the 8-person tag match. You had Miguel, Mac, Dreamer, and Rich Swann taking on Ken Shamrock, Callahan, Bay, and Moose. And the emergence, what do we talk about? The emergence of a star kind of was born, and Trey Miguel was highlighted. And based on the fact he got it clean on Sami Callahan, was really unique. I think people kind of were shocked to see it, and I think that Trey Miguel might be kind of getting some love and some really a star being born kind of situation, because he had the aggression, he had the intensity, and I think he's about to get a massive push. So pay attention to Trey Miguel, because that was some match for a main event of Impact. So by and large, B+ show. I think that the women kind of under-delivered, but I think that in terms of the use of the veterans, it was cool to see, Ken Shamrock still kicking it. I would potentially probably like to see him stop getting into the ring, but he holds his own. I mean, for what he does, he's still believable as a badass. And it's really cool. The mid-card guys are doing a really good job. Brian Myers doing really well. Cousin Jake, Joe Daring doing a real good job. I'm of the opinion that, Impact is taking the next step forward by delivering constant good matches, good top-end storylines, and that's all you can do is continue to utilize the talent that you have, really highlight Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and, take things forward. I think the one match I missed would be Cardona and Alexander defeating Austin and Fulton. Nothing serious to write home about. Like I said, Matt Cardona on Impact is still pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. So Impact was good. Week in, week out, putting on good shows. Tune in Tuesdays, Impact Wrestling, doing big things and taking the next step forward in 2021.
Yeah, I think they're getting better and better, and I think the crossover with AEW is helping a lot. I think both brands. It allows them to have a little bit of a deeper roster, and you can tell a little bit more of an interesting story with some of these other guys. Now, speaking of AEW, I need you to confirm for me if I was the only person who had issues with the AEW feed. I missed about the first 15 minutes. Basically what happened was, and I've got YouTube TV, so I don't know maybe if it was a thing with YouTube TV or not, I'm not sure, because I was able to go and watch NXT, but the first 15 minutes of AEW, I totally missed. So I had the TNT logo pop up, and then that faded, and then they went into the AEW Dynamite Open, and then halfway through the Open, all of a sudden it just kind of glitched out, and it would kind of like kick on, kick off, kick on, kick off, and then it was just a black screen. Was I the only one who had this problem? Did you run into any issues with the beginning of AEW?
I didn't get that, so I saw that, but I did not get that in my situation.
So fill me in on the first 15 minutes of AEW. Like, was there anything good that I missed? Was there anything special that happened? Because I even went on the internet to try to find, and it didn't seem like I missed too much.
No, you didn't miss too much at all. I think that AEW really was highlighting Sting and Darby Allin and doing a lot of good things with the matches. So you didn't miss a whole heck of a lot.
What did you think about Sting and Darby Allin's promo? It was they were in what looked like a vacant warehouse, and they both were taking exception to being called hooligans, and then they just embraced being called hooligans, so much so that Darby Allin threw a skateboard through a plate glass window, and then Sting busted out some of the windows with his baseball bat, and in the end they both agreed that, yeah, we're hooligans. What did you think about the promo? Did it come off a little stale? Did it come off a little bit forced? Did you love it? What did you think?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was a great way to kind of build and to keep everything going. I thought that the Road to Revolution continued. I thought it was a good, really good, solid promo. It was just really cool to see Sting being used that way and kind of having that mentor relationship. I think it was pretty sweet. Could it have been better? Yeah. But I thought it delivered. It delivered what it was supposed to. Really well produced. So for me, I thought it was really cool. Now, the one thing that I guess was not impressive to me is I understand AEW wants to get attention, but I didn't think really having Shaq get into the mix with Cody Rhodes, I'm not feeling it. I don't know if it's me, but it's just, I don't need to see it. It's just, they got enough stars. Highlight the Hangman Page, highlight Jungle Boy, Dax, highlight Cash Wheeler, Dax Hardwood. I don't need time devoted to Shaq. He's done that, been there. It's just maybe a little bit too much.
I don't think it's too much, or I don't think I don't think you're wrong. Because we've been building towards this for a little bit now. This has been something that they have been slowly laying the groundwork for and laying the tracks for it. And you're right. I don't think we necessarily need this. I think this is it's a good way to help introduce new female wrestlers, and that's the direction it appears that they're going here. But I don't need Shaq in the ring. I don't need to watch Shaq do whatever he's going to try to do. We can bring somebody else in, and we can pair different people that way. I don't necessarily need to see Shaq out there laboring around in a ring trying to do something that he doesn't do. Now, look, let's not get it twisted. He is a very large man who is an incredible athlete, but his time has come and gone. He has been retired for years. I love him at the TNT desk doing basketball. I think he's fantastic. I think he's entertaining. I think he's got a great personality. I don't necessarily need to see him in the wrestling ring. So I'm in lockstep with you. I agree with you 110%.
Yeah,
what did
I'll just say that, the opening match was Eddie Kingston defeating Lance Archer, so it's really good. So it was a good match. I mean, nothing too unexpected in a physical battle. And then
so Eddie Kingston got the win then.
Yes, and then Jericho and MJF defeated the Varsity Blondes.
Okay, I seen that match. I missed the Eddie Kingston match.
So that's all you missed, and it was okay. Standard opening kind of match.
Okay, cool. What did you think about you had Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, the Young Bucks? They teamed up, and then you had them taking on the Dark Order. I thought this was a really good match, and at this point, I don't know what to expect from the Dark Order anymore. You remember when they were just kind of like this ragtag group that kind of were there, and they kind of got beat up, and then they started winning a couple of matches, and next thing you know, Brody Lee's there, and they're starting to do this. They start doing a really good job because they have their leader, and now Brody Lee has passed away. But I think I was most impressed. Like I love what Andersons and Gallows and the Young Bucks bring, but I was really impressed by the members of the Dark Order in this match. I thought they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, props to Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. I mean, they kind of have evolved from from people that you could just turn a TV off on to becoming really underrated, and they work really well. And I thought that the match was really good, and absolutely. But I mean, they're always going to play second fiddle to the Bullet Club, and that's just the way it is. So to see Young Bucks and Good Brothers get the victory was awesome. And for me, I don't know about you, but the last couple times that they've had Luke Harper, his son there, it's been okay, but it also is kind of like a little bit of a downer in that it brings you back to a memory of someone that died. So it's going to be cool because in like 15 years, his kid's going to be there and he's going to be a wrestler, but maybe tone it down a little bit. We don't maybe need to kind of have a constant reference and yucking it up with John Huber's kid.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird that he has become such a fixture of the programming, and
it's weird because he's wearing a mask too, so it's kind of really it's unusual. I don't know if it's just
very strange.
Yeah, it is strange, right?
It's very, very strange. It's not that I don't like it. I just don't know if there's always a time and a place for everything, and I don't know if this is the time nor necessarily the place for it all the time. And I don't feel like we need it all the time.
Yeah, let him come to the arena. Let him kind of have a presence in the stands, but stop making him like this person that they keep going to the camera on whenever he's there.
Yeah, for sure. Are you? Is there anything else from AEW you wanted to discuss? Are you ready for some Royal Rumble predictions?
I'm ready for the predictions. John Moxley was awesome. He's
fantastic.
Worth every penny, dude. Just when he interjects himself, you want to see it.
He is definitely a showstopper. When he talks, you just stop and you listen. And when he's in the ring, you just tune in and you're glued. He is absolutely fantastic. You're right. Worth every penny. It's amazing that WWE couldn't let this guy just be this guy. It's nuts. All right, so let's kick Royal Rumble off. We've got the men's Royal Rumble. We've got Edge, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn. We haven't talked about Edge inserting himself into this match, but we've got Edge, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Cesaro, Otis, Nakamura, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Jey Uso, John Morrison, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, Daniel Bryan, Big E, Randy Orton, and 13 other people that are going to insert themselves into this match. Before we give a prediction, who do you think might show up?
Well, I think it was really cool to see Edge on Raw and probably there's going to be a good chance he's going to make a nice deep run. But you have to pay the money. You have to have the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar show up. I think that, if you want to,
damn thing.
Yeah, that would be something if he does get to the opportunity. But this is really tough because a lot of people could get over who's deserving of the next big fight and things like that. But we've talked about it. Could it be someone on SmackDown? Could it be someone on Monday Night Raw? I'm going to go with two people that I obviously have to, give credence to. And I think it's going to be one. It's either going to be Daniel Bryan or it's going to be Brock Lesnar. I think Daniel Bryan has to be kind of reintroduced, get back into the mix, and he could definitely have a nice, fun WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns. So could I see Randy Orton? I could see Big E. I could see a lot of people that are deserving of it, but I got to go big, so I'm going to go Brock Lesnar. I'm going to go 1A as Brock Lesnar and 1B Daniel Bryan.
So you've got to pick one for your selection.
Mine's
you want
Brock
Daniel
Lesnar.
Bryan or do you want Brock Lesnar?
I'm going to go Brock Lesnar.
Okay. So I'll put you down for Brock Lesnar, and I'm actually going to put him down here as Broke Lesnar because I spelt broke. So I'm going to put him down there as Broke Lesnar.
Broke Lesnar.
Just me, I can't spell. I'm slightly special. I think John Cena is going to show up. I think John Cena is going to take part in the Royal Rumble.
That'd be sweet. I'd pop.
I would pop hard too because I love John Cena. So I think John Cena is gonna take place in this Royal Rumble. I think he's gonna make an appearance. I think the winner of this whole damn thing, because remember, we're looking for somebody credible to take on Roman Reigns, and I think whomever is credible and is going to take on Roman Reigns is going to come out of this Royal Rumble. I'm going to go with a guy you just mentioned. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan recently was on record of saying that he makes no plans to retire anytime soon. Doesn't know if he'll be a full-time wrestler for much longer, but doesn't plan to retire anytime soon. And I think this could maybe be that swan song for him as a full-time wrestler. So I'm going to go Daniel Bryan, but my pick for making an appearance will be John Cena. Now the Women's Royal Rumble. We've got Nia Jax, Charlotte, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Shayna Basler, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Tamina, and then 18 other ladies will join the fray. So real quick, before you make your selection, who do you think is going to be that person that's going to show up and make everybody pop super hard?
I don't know. That part of it I have not thought of. Could it be an old timer? Shoot, I'm still down to seeing some of the women from the past. Kelly definitely rings a bell. I know I sent you a couple memes of her. Definitely, I want to see what Mandy Rose looks like in her outfit. Dana Brooke. It's tough. It's tough to see who's going to take it down, but I think that this one probably is a little bit easier because the next star probably to emerge, I think the winner is going to be Bianca Belair. That's my winner. I think that if you go Charlotte, I'd be disappointed, but I think Bianca's going to take it down.
See, I think it's going to be Bianca Belair as well. It just makes sense. Look, she is absolutely fantastic. She's one of those people who is eye-catching. She's great on the mic. She's a 5-tool player when it comes to wrestling. And when I was running through the list of participants, she was the one person that stood out above everybody else. I'm going to go Bianca Belair as well.
And plus, who wouldn't want to see her against Sasha Banks? That'd be sweet.
It'd be fantastic. It'd be great. I think somebody who's going to make an appearance. I think you're probably going to get a scene of Trish Stratus showing up. I think it's a little bit too early for my ex-girlfriend, Becky Lynch, showing up. Remember, she just had her kid. She does look like she's in great shape, though. If you follow her on Instagram, she does look like she's in fantastic shape, and she could make an appearance.
I have not peeked into WWE's Instagram lately. Is the kid cute? Has she shown pictures of the kid?
Yeah. Kid's been shown. Kid looks like a baby. It looks cute. I could see, but I don't think it's going to happen. I could see Ronda Rousey possibly showing up.
Oh, we haven't even said it. Maybe Seth Rollins comes back.
Seth Rollins possibly could. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Seth Rollins could make an appearance at the Royal Rumble. That's true.
That'd be nice too.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. That is always the highlight of the Royal Rumble. Like who's going to make an appearance. So it'll be fun to see as the weekend kind of rolls along. The rumors start to come out and everybody starts to speculate who's going to be there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I already know who you're picking here, so I'm just going to put you down for Roman Reigns. We've got the Universal Championship match. It's a last man standing match. We both are going to go Roman Reigns on this one. We just don't see him dropping it to Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens will look strong, just don't see him dropping it. I think I also know who you're going to pick for this one, the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre, obviously the champion, going up against Goldberg. If Goldberg somehow wins this, I'm telling you right now, I'm no longer watching WWE television.
Okay,
just so you're aware.
Yeah, I can share this. My 90.99 will be seriously put to the test whether I'm willing to invest further if Goldberg wins. I would have to put hashtag cancel WWE, cancel Peacock, all that stuff if Goldberg wins. It can't happen. It's just got to be something where he comes back and Drew McIntyre gets the rub. Let him win, please.
Yep, absolutely. We've got the Women's Tag Team Championship. We've got Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. Now, I just want to throw this out there because I could see this match playing out this way. I could see Asuka and Charlotte being in position to win this match because I do think they are the much better wrestlers out of these two, or out of these four. But I could see Lacey Evans interjecting herself in this match, building towards whatever this feud is with Charlotte Flair. And I could see Lacey Evans costing both Asuka and Charlotte Flair this match. I could see that happening. Who do you have winning this? Asuka and Charlotte versus Nia Jax and Shayna Basler.
Yeah, I'm going with Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. I think it's time. You got to set up a further escalation of this feud. Ric Flair's in the mix too, so Asuka and Charlotte probably don't need to have the title. So Nia Jax and Shayna Basler take it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on this one for basically everything I just said. I just see Lacey Evans at some point getting involved in this mix. This match I feel like will go on before the Royal Rumble happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what happens when they both get in the ring for the Royal Rumble, they just pair off with each other and they just start laying haymakers on each other and they both spill out of the ring and then their fight continues on the outside of the ring while they're both disqualified from the Royal Rumble. That's just how I see this playing out. I think Nia Jax and Shayna Basler, obviously, I don't think either one of them are fantastic in the ring. I just see them getting the championships back, being the new tag champions, and I think that's kind of where we go. I could also see it where one of them causes the other one to get pinned, and I could see both Nia Jax and Shayna Basler spinning off into its own little feud. So there's a couple different things you could do with this Women's Tag Team Championship. Just right now I'm going to side with you. I'm going to go Nia Jax, Shayna Basler. Now again, hedging our bets, these aren't official. We could see these matches happening as soon as Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Intercontinental Championship match. Big E, who is the defending champ, taking on Sami Zayn. Who do you have winning this one?
I got Big E, baby. It's not time yet to take the belt off. He's got to ride his wave.
Yeah, I like Sami Zayn being the spastic monster he is, where he feels like somehow he was screwed, and I think there's a way that you can build that into the story with Big E remaining the champ, and you have Sami Zayn claiming that he was screwed out of his belt. Now you've got Bobby Lashley and you've got Matt Riddle. We've talked about this a little bit earlier. I think it's a little bit too soon for this match. I think you can do a really nice build working on both of their experience as MMA fighters. But if this match was to take place, maybe on the pre-show, Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, I would love to see Matt Riddle win this. I'm going to go with Matt Riddle. I don't know if it happens, but I would love to see Matt Riddle win the U.S. Championship off of Bobby Lashley. I think if Matt Riddle wins it, that's when you can kind of work and build this story out for a couple weeks. You could push this out for another month or so and get to WrestleMania where you could have them collide again. And again, that could be a much better pre-show or a much better curtain jerk as far as the show goes. So who do you have winning this?
I'm in lockstep with you, brother. I think it's really great as an opportunity to, I think, give him some shine and a much-needed shine. And I think Bobby Lashley needs to go on to bigger and better things.
Yep, absolutely. So to recount everything that we've got going on, if the United States Championship match takes place between Bobby Lashley and Matt Riddle, we both have Matt Riddle. If the Intercontinental Championship match takes place between Big E and Sami Zayn, we have Big E retaining his belt. If the Women's Tag Team Championships, or when the Women's Tag Team Championship match takes place, we both have Nia Jax and Shayna Basler beating Asuka and Charlotte Flair to become the new champions. The WWE Championship match, we've got Drew McIntyre retaining over Bill Goldberg, and our fandom might be put to the test if it doesn't play out that way. Universal Championship match, we've got Roman Reigns retaining his belt over Kevin Owens in a last man standing match. Both of us are hoping that Kevin Owens looks really, really strong in this match. And then in the Women's Royal Rumble, it could be anybody. It could be any one of 30 contestants. We both, however, have decided that Bianca Belair is winning the Women's Royal Rumble, which I think is fantastic and I love so much. Royal Rumble predictions for the men. Again, it could be any one of 30 contestants. You've got Brock Lesnar, as I have written down here, coming back to win it all and probably cashing out a $10 million payday, while I've got Daniel Bryan winning it as his final his swan song, to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It should be very, very interesting. Hopefully it's a really good show. Again, we've wiped the slate clean because it's a new year. It's 0-0. This is the first big pay-per-view of the year. We'll see who gets the points going into this. Now remember, Royal Rumble, we normally do this. If you get the Royal Rumble winner right for either the ladies or the gentlemen, you do get that bonus point. You get that extra point there if you can nail it, because it's a 1 in 30 shot, so good luck. So we'll see what happens there. But that is going to do it for our Royal Rumble predictions.
Hit me at this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list this week, sir?
All right, so it's a small news and notes segment, but it has a couple of big stories. Actually, it only has 2 stories, but one of them is worth at least $1 billion. WWE sold all of its content and streaming rights to NBC for $1 billion. That's right, $1 billion with a B, dollars. The terms of the agreement weren't disclosed, but a person familiar with the deal said it's going to run roughly 5 years, and it's valued at over more than $1 billion. Under the agreement, WWE is going to shut down WWE Network's streaming service in the United States in mid-March. I believe it's going to be March 18th. At that time, Peacock will license the programming, including the popular WrestleMania franchise, for its own platform. Now, Peacock will be selling at, I believe it's $4.99 with commercials and ads. You can upgrade to $10, $9.99 for no ads. So basically the same price that you were paying for the WWE Network, you could pay that to Peacock and you could get a whole bunch more. So I think for people who are streaming, it works out great. It's just interesting that WWE would basically get rid of one of its own entities and give up all of the rights to all of its content, that's where all the money's at. It's all in the content. All pay-per-views starting March 21st with Fastlane will be streamed exclusively on the Peacock platform. NBC Universal owns the USA Network, which broadcasts WWE Raw on Monday nights. It also sounds like NBC is going to be shutting down NBCSN. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that means for hockey, which is broadcasted on NBCSN, coming over to USA Network, because that's what the plan sounds like. So I don't know what that does for Monday Night Raw, and I don't know what that does yet for NXT, but we could be seeing those shows get moved around on the calendar just a little bit. So you'll have to bear with us and stick with us on all of that. Now, this move does make sense because Vince was growing very, very tired of the WWE Network and the money that they were losing. What really pissed him off was the pay-per-view revenue not being there. Remember, we just had a monster fight that just took place on Saturday, and I believe it was $70 to get it through ESPN Plus to watch the Conor McGregor fight. WWE doesn't get that. You pay $10 a month for all the WWE content you want. There's no upsell for a pay-per-view. And Vince was starting to look at the numbers and realizing how he was just pissing money away with this WWE Network, and it really infuriated him. So much so that last year when they cleaned house, they ended up firing the people who were responsible for putting the WWE Network together and fired the people who were in charge of running it. So I think at this point, this is a way for Vince and the crew to basically cash out for a bill. They don't have to worry about it for the next 5 years. There'll probably be some type of restructuring deal that happens in the next 5 years. And whether the streaming network comes back will remain to be seen. If it does come back, there will probably be some type of concession where you do have to pay a little bit more for the pay-per-view. So don't be surprised there. Now, Ryback could be joining either Impact or Ring of Honor. It doesn't sound like AEW is on the radar at this time. According to Dave Meltzer, Ryback has to kind of build himself up again a little bit before I think AEW will be kind of on the horizon. But Ryback said he's coming back and he's ready to kick ass in the ratings. It'll be interesting to see if he pops up one night on Impact or if he pops up in Ring of Honor. EC3 is doing some work in Ring of Honor right now. He was working in Impact. You also mentioned Matt Cardona, who was with AEW doing work in Impact. So it sounds like this group of guys are just kind of going around the independent scene or are working these independent contracts with some of these major wrestling organizations. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this plays out. But that's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes. Stay with us. We should have much, much more next week.
Make sure to follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSJROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Real good podcaster. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything, if you're going to watch the Royal Rumble, hit us up at Detroit Podcast. Make sure you feel free. We like it. If you like what we say or not. This week we had a couple people let us know that some of my takes maybe not the most popular. But that's fine. We agree that, some things we say maybe you don't find appealing. Let us know. It's fine. That's the best part about wrestling too, is the banter back and forth. Feel free. Let us know. Follow Adam again on Twitter at AdamRSJROZ. Subscribe to the network anywhere your favorite podcast is located. Go and type in Detroit Sports Podcast, and when you hit the subscribe button, our content finds you. Can't wait to watch the Rumble, cuz it's going to be a good breakdown next week.
Yeah, I'll be excited for it. It should be a good pay-per-view.